call to order the Wednesday, June 29th, 2022 meeting of the Council on Aging Board. We may be having a guest pop in a little bit later to see us. I'll hold for my comments, but I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of the May 18th, 2022 COA Board meeting.
So moved.
Has been moved. Is there any alterations, corrections?
Second.
Been seconded by Ralph. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Is anyone here today for public comment?
I'm here for something on your
Okay, very good. There is no one here for public comment. I will get into my comments then. And first of all, I want to welcome Julian as our member of the staff. As you know, our director has moved on to the town clerk's position here in town. And we're a tad short-staffed at the moment, so our staff is doing everything. And Julie's been kind enough to post for us our meetings and to sit in with us to give us an update of what is going on. A couple things I want to publicly acknowledge to those who may be watching this meeting today. A couple of wonderful things have happened in the last month. We've had our own Angelina Chalaka, who has been named the Otis Woman of the Year on Cape Cod, a very, very prestigious award, and we are so proud of her and congratulate her again for that wonderful award.
Thank you.
We also are recognizing today with our 4th of July flowers on the table, our good friend Joanne Lapore, who is joining us at her last board meeting for the Council on Aging. Joanne has served admirably over the years. She served for many years as our Elder Services Liaison, did an excellent job. She was at every meeting. She reported wonderfully to this board. And although as she's leaving the board, my understanding is that those of you here and at home may still see Joanne one day a week?
2 afternoons.
2 afternoons a week here at the Council on Aging. She is still volunteering for us here. So Joanne, we thank you so much for your time that you have spent on this board.
It's been my pleasure. Very, very rewarding experience, and to know all of you too.
Congratulations. So with that, I'll just check in with everyone else. How is everyone else doing?
Good.
Good?
Very good.
No clicking down in the corner?
No clicking in the corner.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Angie, anything? Great. And at this time, I will turn things over to our social service coordinator and her quasi-director's report. Julie Wittes.
Okay, I didn't know how long this was supposed to be, so it's pretty thorough. So for the current and anticipated operations, I am very happy to say that despite the departure of Emily, which of course she is very missed, we've been able to continue program planning at its regular pace. So the July-August newsletter, it has gone to print. It's coming to people's homes right now, and in that newsletter there will be a few new ongoing programs, so things that we plan to run regularly throughout the coming months, including chair yoga and chair bar. Chair exercise classes have been in very high demand, so we're really excited to be able to work with a new yoga teacher to bring those on. And then we also have a few one-time educational programs scheduled, 2 on the topic of technology, 2 on the topic of health, and we have a visit from our local disabled rights organization, CORD, coming to give a presentation on what they can offer the community. And then finally, we are bringing back our very popular sailing programs in August, of course with the generous support of the Pleasant Bay Community Boating Organization. And we're expanding the offerings, or they are expanding the offerings of what they have this year. So in addition to sailing out on the water, they're going to offer an experience called the Floating Classroom, which is open to a lot more people than sailing has been in the past. So we'll be able to serve a lot more people with that program. And we are planning to provide transportation services to both days as we have in past years. And in addition to that, we've already begun planning for our next newsletter cycle. So I have a few events scheduled already for September and October and even early November. On September 15th, we are going to have a 3-hour pre-planning seminar and luncheon. This is something that the COA has done in the past, but it's been a couple of years and we felt like it was time to bring it back. This is in coordination with Robin Kelly, the head of the cemetery department. So she's helping to plan that and bring on some local vendors and stakeholders to do presentations during that, and then we'll finish with a luncheon. And we are also bringing back the popular program on brain longevity held by Janet Betty. And I've also booked the regional leader of the SHINE program to visit us to hold 2 presentations on Medicare. The first is on cost savings for Medicare beneficiaries, and the second one she calls Medicare 101. So it's intended to be an education for folks who are gonna be signing up during open enrollment to maybe change their plans. So it can show them what the options are. And with her, I've also begun having some conversations about open enrollment to prepare for that period, because it tends to be very busy for us. So, moving on to our newsletter procurement for fiscal year 23. A contract has been signed by administration with, the vendor is Proforma Shoreline Graphics. It's a printing service based in Osterville, so they are local. And the scope of work covers the September, October edition that's coming up all the way through June, July of 2023 inclusive.
Can we interrupt for a couple, just comments and questions we have? And they're all set with using the same format that we've been using in the past?
Yes,
No change to that?
no change to that.
And when I had met with staff on Emily's last day, we emphasized the importance of that newsletter. It is still the #1 communication tool between the council and our residents in the community. So, and I know, thank you for diligently following the procurement process. It is so, so, so important. It heard someone say, well, if we missed an addition, it wouldn't be bad. It would be terrible, because so many of our people look forward to that. They see what's happening with the programs that are out there, especially the new programs. And so many of our programs are sold out almost immediately.
Yeah.
Charlie Beatty's exercise program, of course, there's always a waiting list for that. So when those things, it's our communication tool, it's absolutely imperative. So thank you for bringing us update on the procurement, and I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay, thank you. So we have an update on hiring for the COA director. The position for director was posted in very early June. And I ultimately did decide to apply for the position obviously as an internal candidate. I submitted my application on June 10th. Last week, I had a meeting with Megan Eldridge to interview and discuss the position. And yesterday, I spoke to her and she said that Joe Powers is planning to move forward. I don't have an offer letter yet, so it's not official until that comes. But things are looking positive. So the benefits of this move are that I should be able to transition into the role relatively seamlessly. There's obviously a lot to still learn and some big shoes to fill, but I know the staff, I know our programs, so hopefully it will be an easy onboarding. The downside is that this move would obviously still leave us down a position, so the social services coordinator position would be open, and we would have to hire for that, which can take some time, I understand. And then I suppose technically we really have 2 vacancies because we've now had the program specialist 2 position approved. So the hiring for that will need to take place as well. I'll pause here for any comments.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Good choice.
Yeah, good choice. Good choice,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And then for our volunteer needs and recruitment and training, we do still have a need for additional medical drivers because many of the ones that we have on our list are part-time residents, so they can't reliably help us out. We've still been able to meet the need because we have some very dedicated drivers who are, as John knows, always willing to jump in at a moment's notice and fill things if we have trouble filling them with some of the drivers who drive less frequently for us. So we've been able to meet the need, but having more on our roster would be very helpful. And we have had one open shift on our reception desk for quite a while, and that has been very tough to fill because it's just a very tough position to fill because it takes a high level of commitment and a high level of skill. You have to have some office administrative skills, you have to have some customer service skills. But I'm really pleased to say that I think we have finally found a very good fit. So we should have finally a full roster of reception volunteers covering us Monday through Friday, 9 to 4.
So once again, and you may not know, Julie, Ralph is our social media expert on the board.
Okay.
So he's very proficient in posting these things to Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, or as he calls it, Twitface. But, again, for anyone who does post that, we put that out there, and I will post it again today, looking for
Okay.
volunteers. And if you do, just use the COA's number for people to call for interest. Obviously, both of you, actually all of us volunteer one way or another for COA, and we know how rewarding it is. And John does the medical driving, and Joanne has been serving for reception for many, many years. It is very rewarding and very fulfilling. So those of you who are watching, please give thought to spending some time with us here at the COA. It's a great group of people. They have a good time, don't they?
They do. Yeah,
Absolutely.
we have a great time.
So, thank you.
We're gonna have a course on Instacart.
We're working
Or
on that.
FaceGram.
Yeah, absolutely.
That is all I have for you today.
Okay. Any questions, comments for Julie?
Thank you, Julie.
Hearing none, we'll go into, is there any old business to come back before us today? I know Ralph wants to always talk about, Julie, you'll hear this every meeting. Ralph, what would you like to bring up?
I'd like to see when the men's breakfast is going to be.
That's a great question. I would love to bring it back. I think there's still some concerns with the capacity that we used to reach with the men's breakfast, but maybe having a slow startup with a smaller capacity is something that we've talked about. We don't like to limit things and tell folks that they can't come, which I think has been the main reason that we haven't done it. But we gotta take the step sometime, so I think I'm not gonna promise anything.
No,
but-
in fact, I'm gonna hold you right there, Julie, hold right there. And I would rather under-promise and over-deliver. And to be very frank, if Julie is appointed the director, we're gonna have 2 open positions here. And right now, they are running tight with staffing. I would wait till we have at least 1 more person on board, to be able to handle the
I think that's
workload that's needed.
reasonable.
Because we've got to, once we put something out, if you sat in the office and you see a new program is opened, or they're doing registration for any of our programs or luncheons or anything, that phone goes off the hook. It's constant. Joanne, you can speak to that. And without having the staff to handle it, it could be very frustrating, especially if we're capacity controlled, either the men's or the women's breakfast. If we're capacity controlled at, say, 35 or 40, we know, Ralph, that we were having 75 to 80 guys there a month. And if someone calls and they can't get in and they're leaving a message, well, I called and I should be able to go, and we don't want that stress put on either our social services coordinator or our new director at that time. So I would say our goal, hopefully, is sometime this fall to bring it back. And I think if we have the staffing appropriately, we can bring it up. But I want you to know that Ralph is very good bringing this up under old business every month, and you will continue to hear it.
Okay.
Is it significant that you've called on me for old business?
That's good.
I'll call on Julie for new business. How's that? Is there any other old business to come before us? New business, before I turn it over to one of our guests, we have an issue that's been ongoing, and I think Julie didn't mention it in her comments and her notes. Still some bus issues that are happening with folks, and I wasn't sure if staff were aware that we had one time put together a bus conduct policy for folks when we had issue going back a couple of years, to make sure that people are following with the policy that has been established by the Council on Aging for those who wish to ride our bus. We have a lot of folks with various needs, who we provide transportation to. And on the bus, we follow, and I'll turn this to you, in terms of what protocol you're currently using. And we've had some frustration with some of our riders who are looking for more of a personal service or a personal transportation program, which we just are not in a position to provide. Would you like to speak to that, Julie?
Sure. The capacity on the van has been 7 members, which that allows for folks to sit on one seat by themselves. The actual largest capacity of our largest van is 14 people. So we had reduced it by 50%. In discussion with Emily before she left, she was recommending that we increase capacity again. So I took her recommendation, and we are doing that starting in July. We'll be back to full capacity on the van. We haven't had to turn people away for the van, so I don't anticipate that that's really going to be much of a change in function, but we've got the capacity there if the demand does increase. Okay, and then in terms of other things that we've heard from constituents, there is at least one person in the community who wants to have masks be required on the van, but we've been told by administration and higher up that because of the Supreme Court ruling, we can't actually mandate that. So our hands are tied there. And this has gone to the State Department of Public Health to make sure that we are in fact in compliance with regulations and doing what's expected, and we are. And then in terms of our policy and code of conduct, one of my goals, if I do move into the director position, would be to have the riders on the van actually systematically receive a copy of our policy and code of conduct and then sign something to acknowledge that they have done that. We talked about doing this actually, how long has it been now? 2.5 years ago, right before the pandemic started. We talked about doing this, but because of the pandemic, it just was something that got put on the back burner and we haven't gotten to. So hopefully, bringing the policy and the code of conduct to the forefront and letting people know ahead of time proactively what's expected and what our policies are will help to mitigate some of this.
And I just think it's important to bring to the board's attention that these things are happening, and that we do have policy in place, and I do believe that having anyone who rides our buses have a copy and sign that they have gotten a copy and they agree to the conduct policy in terms of the bus itself, treating the drivers that are there, treating the staff who are assisting with the bus. And that we will, as a board, I feel it is imperative that we support the department and administration's ruling on mask, either mandate or non-mandate. We're following exactly what we have to do, and there are some who are not happy with that. And again, we offer this as an open meeting. If someone wants to come in and speak to us about that, they're more than welcome to do so. But I want us to reaffirm and support the staff if we can. So I would just like a consensus on behalf of the board that we do support the staff and the work that they're doing.
Yes.
Any question to that at all? Okay, all right, so that gives you some direction to work with.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, any new business to come before us?
So,
Please,
Carolyn, Carey, do you want me up here?
So people can see your lovely face.
Sure, well, I don't know where that would be, but I'll come. So, I know all of you, but in case TV land, Carolyn, Carey, Community Center Director, and I feel a little silly now because I did not know some of the information that was presented, but I think it's still important. And I didn't know it was Joanne's last meeting, so I'm happy to be here. I'm very happy. I wanted to come to the board and have a conversation about the director position, and that it is so important to the community center, I feel, and having members of the facilities committee here too, and people like Joanne, that we are all on the same page, because a director in this building really has to believe in the concept of the community center. It really is one of the only ways this building works. We help each other out. And I know it seems like a silly thing because you're inside the community center and at Council on Aging, but it really is a different mindset. A lot of people come from standalone Council on Agings, and that usually doesn't work well because it's so different. No one owns space in this building. I don't own space in this building. We're actually sitting in someone's office. Everything is shared, and those things are important. So I want to have that conversation and make sure that you all still felt the same way. I know Carolyn Sheldon and everyone was always on board, I know Richard, but I wanted to come and have that conversation because I think moving forward, Emily came from this, the former COA director, I don't know if you're using names or not, I don't know. Came from this model. She started at the front desk, so she saw the importance of it. So I just wanted to have that conversation because I think it's important when change happens that we really look at what's important to the success of everything. And the success of every department within this building is really what makes it a community center. So,
Absolutely, and I just want to interject if I can. because
Please.
Some people don't understand, when they come in, for instance, to the community center, they say, well, recreation youth is on one side, council on aging on the other side. We have to book those rooms. We're today being filmed in the studio of Channel 18, and one of the staff members is here, it is their office. But when we have the rooms on, in essence, this side of the building, they are not the rooms of the council on aging. They are rooms that have to be booked through the community center. I think a lot of people don't understand the same thing on the other side, on the recreation and youth side.
gym, everything.
Those are open rooms that anyone can book at any time.
And it's important that we do move people around the building because that's what the success of the building is that you see different individuals, you interact, and the whole concept of a community center is multi-generational functions
Yes.
inside a building. So to just say, this is our room, it just can't work that way.
Right.
So that's why I was coming, because I have been very fortunate in working here in this building since we opened the doors, and I've seen a lot of people come and go, and I really feel like we get better, and I just don't wanna slip backwards, and I wanted to make sure everyone was still feeling the same way about what the town voted to put in place. We did not choose to put a council on aging or a youth and recreation. We decided as a town that the most important thing was a community center. And that's because I believe the town of Harwich has always believed the most important aspect of our town is our community. So, that's what I wanted to say. And I think it apropos because I interact with Joanne so much, and I try and, flow throughout the building. So I think that we can all say we buy in, but we really need to believe in what we're doing too. So that's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. I don't question, in fact, so council knows and the general public knows, we have a representative from the Council on Aging to the Facilities Committee.
Correct.
It has been for quite a while, our good friend, the Honorable Ralph Smith, and I'm going to actually ask for a motion with him not to make it nor to second it, is that Ralph be appointed again our representative. I've spoken to Ralph, he is interested in carrying on, and I like the continuity because he's been involved for quite a while. I know you've served with Ralph very well. And Carolyn said she wants you back too, Ralph.
Yes, please, please. I'll make the motion. No, I know.
So I would ask Joanne, on your last day, would you
Okay.
make the motion to appoint Ralph as our liaison to
So
the?
moved.
I second.
It's been seconded to help Ralph Smith serve on the Facilities Committee as a representative.
And now that goes to the
Board of Selectmen.
Board of Selectmen.
Correct.
Yes, that's a new.
We make a
new policy.
recommendation.
Yes.
They will verify our recommendation. Just, Ralph, just don't get in trouble with any of the selectmen in the next week. Actually, 2 weeks, they're in the summer schedule. So we have a motion on the floor. Are there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
More old business, I can say. Can I have an office to set up my social security and social media planning?
There you go. Absolutely. Have you gotten a computer yet? Yeah.
I've got one on order the last 4 years.
All right. Is there anything else to come before us for new business today?
I just wanted to say, as far as, the Council on Aging and the Community Center, I think it's a wonderful mix. Because it's not just all the elderly, it encompasses everybody. And I really, really do like it that way, very
Me
much.
too.
I think it helps to break down the barriers of coming here because there's
Yes.
not necessarily the stigma associated with going to a senior center. You're coming to a
Exactly.
community center. No one knows what you're walking in the door for. You could be going there for anything.
And being elderly, I love, interacting with the younger people. I mean, even the people I work with, it's just wonderful.
And the people who love you dearly, and for all that you've done for them as well, working with staff, so. I want to go around the room if there's nothing else today, and just, Ms. Chalaka, do you have any?
Oh, I just want to congratulate Joanne. I mean, it's been a
Thank
pleasure
you
just
so
working
much.
with you, and yeah, you add so much life to the building, and I also wanted to wish Julie the very best, and hopefully things will work out.
Thanks.
So, and so good to see all of you too.
I can add nothing to what Angie said.
John?
No, I appreciate the work that you've done. Best of luck to Julie. And I've noticed, I've only lived in Harwich for 3 years, and I come across people in other towns, and they talk about Harwich's community center.
We are very, very, very fortunate. My mother used to say, you're not fortunate, you're blessed. We have such a great community center, and going through the process of town meeting to see that being established. I think, Angie, you were there at that time where we were going through the discussion, and Joanne, you might have been there as well. Ralph, I don't know if you were here yet when we discussed the community center being built. Were you in town full-time then? Okay. It was quite a discussion to get this building completed, and there were folks going way, 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 way back who had raised funds to see that we have a senior center, and then became the concept of the community center. And as a realtor in town, and Carol's also a fellow realtor, the two of us, we show off this property to people who are looking to come to town to say, this is what makes us different than some of the other communities, and we embrace it. So it was a great discussion today with that. Joanne, any last words for you in your last meeting?
I'm just so happy about Julie, and I really do feel she would be a wonderful, wonderful conservation director. And also to thank you as chairman of our board and all that you do for the town of Harwich.
Well, it's my pleasure. I love doing what we can do anything, and I think all of us feel the same way. Julie, any last comments from you?
No, I think I covered everything.
Great, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn, but before I do so, once again, our great thanks to you for your
Thank
many,
you
many
so
years of
much.
service. And to those who are watching, we will have an opening available on our Council on Aging. And you can see we're a very cohesive board, we work very, very well together. If someone is interested, kindly call the Selectman's office, fill out a citizen's activity record, and submit that to the town if you're interested in serving on our Council on Aging. You absolutely will have very, very, very large shoes to fill that Joanne has just done so much for us over the years. So thank you again for your service.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you, and we'll still see you next door
Absolutely, absolutely.
in the office.
Yes.
So hearing that, I'll entertain that motion to adjourn.
I would like to make one comment.
Sure.
I think our presentation by our new director this morning was fantastic.
Excellent, yes.
She's slid right in there very nicely.
Great,
Yes.
thank you. Then I'll entertain that motion to adjourn.
I would so move.
And is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed can clean up the table. Thank you all for being with us today. Thank you to our Channel 18 staff for